Oh, Austin, I just texted Austin. He said he's out. Great timing.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good to know at the top of the show. What's up, everybody? You're watching or listening to episode, I believe this is episode 50. Let me.
Is it really?
I'm doing the bit right now. It's not even a bit, but I'm doing the bit where I don't know what episode it is, so I have to go look it up. I did just look it up. It's episode 50 of the Hot Stove Podcast. We've reached our first milestone.
Hit the music.
Hit the music. Yeah, it's episode 50 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, here with Mark and Josh. Austin, as Josh just said, is out. So Austin won't be here. It'll just be the three of us. Couple housekeeping things before we get started. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at HotStovePod. That's at HotStovePod on Twitter. Here on the YouTube side, subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell if you subscribe. Hope you listened to the radio show this morning, because this is out on Tuesday, and the radio show is before. You get the point. You get the deal at this point. Hope you listened to the radio show this morning. It was great. It's not our last. I want to say this. The radio show this morning was not our last show of the semester. We'll be doing our last show of the semester next Tuesday on December 14th. I'll still be in town. So by hook or by crook, I will be in that radio studio next Tuesday.
I mean, of course, this morning's radio cast wasn't our last. Mark told us probably the craziest thing that's ever happened on December 7th in history. So
you made that very easy for me.
Yes, I did. I figured I'd throw you a softball. Also, actually, I think I know the greatest thing, or the most important thing.
Wait, wasn't December 7th?
It's Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor? No, scratch that. Scratch that.
It's too easy.
Mark didn't tell us the most insane thing to happen on this ever.
You'll never believe it, guys. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
You'll never believe what happened this day.
The United States, and that's 70 or 80 years ago tomorrow.
Oh, it was 1941, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so never mind on that one.
Damn, I shouldn't have said anything.
It's
like, Mark, what's the craziest thing to happen today? Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Hope you listened to the radio show this morning. We did things on it. That's all I got for you. I got a pen because I needed something to fidget with. And I took a quiz earlier. One of my professors gave us a quiz that was a printed sheet of paper that we had to write on. And I was incensed. You know how long it's been since I've written something with a pen? So long.
You take notes? You type notes?
Yeah. I do everything on my computer.
I'm a pen and pad note taker.
Yeah, me too.
Only time I've used the pen this semester was when we were given rundowns for our productions, and I took notes on those with a pen because I had the piece of paper in front of me. But otherwise, I type on my computer. But anyways, I got a pen. I also have water. Make sure to be hydrated. Today's show is kind of structure free. Got a couple things to talk about, I guess.
Just a couple guys.
Couple dudes talking about stuff, right? Fanduel stuff first and foremost. Josh, I think you're allowed to say daddy's home now because you finished in first place, and the gap between you and Mark, who was in second place, was 42 points.
This is what happens when I start a lineup without just 3 games. This is what happens
when you don't.
One game.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't troll someone. Right. So Josh won. Mark came in second. I came in third. Austin came in last. Fun little stats here. This was Mark's 5th second place finish of the year, but more impressively, your boy, myself, has now finished in third place 6 out of the 13 weeks that we've done this. 6 times I've finished in third. Now, remarkably consistent. I have not finished in last a single time, but I finished in third 6 times.
Which is impressive.
Yeah. So we'll do our week 14 lineups at the end of the show, as always. I was telling Mark that, you know how I told you guys earlier that the slate this week sucks?
Mm-hmm.
slate, the main slate in particular, this week blows chunks. Beside one player and my defense, every single person in my Fanduel lineup for this week is outside of the main slate. So that's an example. And I told Mark it wasn't even on purpose. Like I didn't intend to use players from Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, the primetime games. It just shook out that all of my players are from those 3 games. So, we'll get to that later. Anyways, I got trivia today.
Let's do it.
I got a few trivia questions, actually.
Is it Baseball Hall of Fame related?
No, they're not Hall of Fame related, but they are baseball questions. So, Josh, I swear they're not that difficult this time.
Okay.
So, I got 2 that are from friend of the show, Tim Gilliard. And I got 1 that is my own. So I'll go with this one first. In the last 30 seasons, only 2 pitchers have had an ERA below 3 and a home run per 9 over 1.5.
Max Scherzer.
No.
Justin Verlander.
Also no. I'll tell you this.
He didn't do that one year in Houston?
2019 when the Happy Fun Ball happened and his ERA was just above 3 that year.
Oh, was it?
Unless this trivia question is wrong, I'll go look it up right now. But
yeah, I thought he had like a 2.5. His home run rate must not have been as high as I thought.
That's true. But it was a season where because Austin and I talked about this a bunch. It was a season where his ERA that year was 2.78. But his home runs per 9 was 1.2.
Oh, okay.
But like all of the runs that he gave up were like solo home runs.
Yeah.
I got another guess.
Yeah.
What about Rick Porcello?
No. So I'll give you a hint here. 30 years is a stupid endpoint because the 2 players that have done it did it in 2020 and 2021.
That's such a stupid. Yeah, that's. All right.
I'll give no more hints than that.
Ohtani?
The last 2, having it be the last 2 seasons whittles it down a lot. Ohtani is not correct.
I know he has historically struggled with it. I don't know if he did this year. Robbie Ray?
Robbie Ray is one of them. He is a fly ball pitcher.
Chris Bassett?
No, it's not Chris Bassett.
The sinker bell. He's probably not.
All right, so Ray, I'm assuming, was this year, so the other guy's last year.
Yeah, Robbie Ray had an ERA of like 6.5 last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was awful last year.
So
2020. God, I wish I cared about those stupid 60-game statistics more. Shane Bieber?
Nope.
Garrett Cole?
Garrett Cole is correct, Josh.
Yeah, that's right. He gave up a bunch of home runs last year.
So Robbie Ray and Garrett Cole are the only 2 pitchers in the last 30 years to have ERA under 3 with a home run per 9 over 1.5. All right, next one. There's only one answer to this question. So you got to think about it. There was one player in baseball in 2021 who had 70 extra base hits without hitting 30 home runs.
Eduardo Escobar.
No. Sir, that was Eduardo Escobar circa 2019.
That was really,
yeah, that's
Hit
right.
58 doubles or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Did Soto get to 30?
If he did, he didn't get to. If he didn't get to 70 extra base hits.
Okay.
Because he's not the answer.
Because I know he was cutting it close. He might have gotten like 32.
He hit 29.
Oh, okay.
But
Boba
he only had 20 doubles and 2 triples. So.
Boba Fett.
No.
So it only had 20 doubles. That surprises me.
Boba Fett did hit under 30 home runs. He had 29, but he only had 60 extra base hits.
Carlos Correa.
No. I will tell you this. This player hit 28 home runs and led the major leagues in doubles this year.
$28 home runs?
Yep.
Teoscar Hernandez?
No.
What the majors in doubles? Cedric Mullins went 30-30.
It's true. Cedric Mullins had 37 doubles.
Yeah.
Just got the official Pats win, by the way. It's a fist bump here. Sorry to... Who's distracting me?
Trey Turner?
Nope.
Brian Reynolds?
I'll tell you, he is in the American League. I don't know what clue to give because there's something specific about this player that I can't really talk about.
Wasn't Raffy, was it?
No.
Randy Arozarena?
No. Do you say Raffy as in Rafael Devers?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not him.
Was it JD?
It was JD Martinez.
Okay.
JD Martinez hit 28 home runs with 42 doubles this year.
Ooh.
What I couldn't talk about was the fact that it was a right-handed hitter in Boston because so many of those home runs turned into doubles off the monster.
Yeah.
That was the context of it.
Yeah, JD is the type of guy where if he played in like any other American League ballpark, he probably would have had 39 home runs.
Yeah. But I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it whittles it down too much. Anyways, that was another trivia question. I got one more for you. This one's a fun one. So, in baseball's history, there have only been 18 players to hit 4 home runs in a game.
Yep.
Yeah. There have been 5 in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell me what 5 players have done that since the year 2000.
Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton is one of them.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for letting me get one.
There's another one I think you should get that I'm not going to say because he played for the Cincinnati Reds.
It's funny, Mark. Tim asked me this question, and that Reds player was the first one I got, and he was like, "I thought that would be the hardest one to get," and I was like, "No, I remember that game vividly."
Because I think it was like the day before Hot Stove, and we talked about it.
It was over the summer, so I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was like an April one.
No, it was summer of 2017, so it was before
okay.
I even met you, Mark.
Oh, for some reason I thought we talked about that.
This is incredibly embarrassing then if that's the case. 2017.
He was an infielder.
Okay. Oh no. No, it's not. It wasn't. That guy doesn't hit 4 homers. I want to say.
Who is it?
It's not that dude.
No, not that dude. This is after that dude.
Who's that dude?
Brandon Phillips.
VP. Brandon Phillips.
I didn't
the
know
swaggiest second baseman of my era. No,
he plays the same position.
What? Second baseman 2017? I'll find it. You keep guessing the other ones. Let me
All right,
really
well,
ponder this.
Sean Green.
Sean Green did it in 2002. Correct.
I think Carlos Delgado also did it in 2002.
Carlos Delgado did it in 2003.
Oh, it was 03. Okay.
All right, Mark, you can take it.
JD Martinez did it for the Diamondbacks.
Correct.
How many were there this century?
One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you say it, Mark. I got it.
Oh, it's Scooter Gennett.
It was Scooter Gennett.
I thought
Correct.
for some reason I just kept thinking Paul Janisch. I don't know why. I was like, he's a shortstop. He's not.
No, but in the 21st century, Sean Green, Carlos Delgado, Josh Hamilton, Scooter Gennett, and JD Martinez are the 5 players with 4 home run games. So, fun times. Scooter Gennett, like I said, when Tim asked me, Scooter Gennett was the first name that came to mind because I very much so remember that game.
Yeah, because it was like, what the fuck? Scooter Gennett hit 4 home runs.
My response was, who is that? It was a who?
I'm sorry, who?
Had I been hanging out with Josh, I would have looked at him and said, "Are you Scooter Gennett?" Right. So that's it for trivia today.
All right. I should have had another.
I've got a Sean Green autographed ball sitting over there, by the way.
I don't even know who Sean Green is.
The only reason I remember Sean Green is from like 2003, the show, or 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2004, the show. He's a Met, right?
No, he was a Dodger,
In 2002,
Blue Jay.
he played for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Played for the Blue Jays. I think he played for the Diamondbacks a little bit.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, Mark, we'll move on here to our next bit of business. Not the Hall of Fame that we get annoyed by every year.
I'm still plenty annoyed.
That's coming next month.
Yeah.
But what was the induction yesterday? Was it the Old Farts Committee? What the hell was it called?
Yeah. So there's multiple committees now. It's not just the Veterans Committee. There's
Isn't
like 4 of them.
The Golden Years Committee?
Yeah, there's the Golden Years Committee and the Early Baseball Committee were the 2 that went yesterday.
Early baseball, I assume, is pre.
It's pre like 1930.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Golden Years is right after the war up until like the early 70s, probably.
Yeah, it's I think it's 50 to 69.
Gotcha.
So those were announced yesterday with 6 people, which shocked me. That's a very large Veterans Committee class. I think they might be making up for the fact that the writers didn't induct anyone this past year.
What? This is okay. I'm not gonna do this again. I swear we're not doing it this year. How the hell do you have a year with an empty class?
It's the second time it's happened in the last 10 years.
What?
Yeah, 2013 was an empty
6 guys
class.
are worthy now.
If I meet the head of the Veterans Committee, I'm choking his ass out. Anyways, Mark.
No. I was saying because the writers didn't induct any.
So like
the Veterans Committee also, I think they let Ted Simmons in last year.
Oh.
I'm confused as to how this works then.
So the Veterans Committee and the writers are 2 separate entities.
So the writers let in
there
players.
There was a 2020 Hall of Fame class.
There was a yes, but
right.
that was the 2019 class.
There was no 2020 class?
No, I'm sorry. It was the 2020 class. There was no 2021 class. This year will be the 2022 class because it's in January. So there was no 2021 class. There was a 2020 class which was inducted. Yes, but that was the 2020 induction, but they had to postpone it a year because of COVID.
What in the so they skip a year?
There was no one inducted in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, there was no one inducted in 2021.
This makes no sense to me. But yes, the 2021 class is who was elected in 2020.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm caught up.
So that's Derek Jeter, Larry Walker, Ted Simmons.
Right.
So, yeah, there were 6 people inducted. Two of which are or three of which are incredibly deserving. The other three, whatever. I'm very happy Buck O'Neil finally got in. That was a disservice that was righted after Buck waited a long time to get in the Hall. And the shitty thing about what they did to Buck O'Neil was a few years, I don't remember what year it was, but when the Baseball Hall of Fame had a big ceremony for 16, I think, maybe 17 Negro League players that got inducted into the Hall all at once, but all of them had passed away, so they needed someone to speak on their behalf. So they chose Buck O'Neil. Buck O'Neil, who was not part of that class and did not get into the Hall of Fame until yesterday. So that was a shitty thing that the Hall did. Like, hey, Buck, you're not part of this, but can you speak for these people? And he said absolutely, and he was as gracious as he always was, because Buck O'Neil might be just the nicest guy in the history of sports. So I'm very happy he finally got in, strictly for his just impact on the game of baseball. He was the first black coach on a major league coaching staff. The Cubs hired him in 1962. He was a scout for a long time. He founded the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City. He is one of the great ambassadors the game has ever seen, and the fact it took him this long to get into the Hall of Fame is, quite frankly, a disservice by both the voters and the respective committees. Similar with Marvin Miller not getting in until last year, longtime head of the Players Union. So I'm glad he got in. Same with Minnie Minoso. Great player. Incredible baseball player, Minnie Minoso, but once again, he was the first Latin star, really. He was the first one that, unless you include Ted Williams, who was Mexican, but...
Yeah! Mexican brethren!
Yeah, Ted Williams was Mexican. His mother was, very Mexican. He just was a prick and didn't want people to think he was Mexican. So he never revealed that. Also, probably. Some people think Babe Ruth was black. That's a whole thing.
Just some people think. All right.
That's like a big internet theory.
I don't know. John Candy looked pretty white in the movie.
That was John Goodman.
John Goodman, sorry.
But I went to Minnie Minoso's baseball reference page, and
great player.
So he played until he was 38.
Yeah.
1964. And Mark knows where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
He then came back 12 years later and played 3 games as a 50-year-old in 1976. But wait, there's more. He came back another 4 years later and played 2 games in 1980 as a 54-year-old.
So that goes the White Sox owner at the time, Bill Veeck, who was one of the great showmen the game of baseball has ever seen. He wanted Minnie to be one of very few players to play in 5 decades. And he was such a fan favorite in Chicago. Everybody loved Minnie Minoso. And so he was like, let's, keep bringing Minnie back. He can play in all these decades. He'll be super old. It'll be a lot of fun. I believe he got a hit when he was 50 as well, didn't he?
He did. He did get a hit in 1976. Yeah, as a 50.
That reminds me. I saw a quote earlier. It was from an article, in an interview that Ty Cobb was doing before he died, and they were like, "Mr. Cobb, what do you think you would hit in the modern age of baseball?" And he said, 275, 280. And the interviewer goes, Mr. Cobb, why do you, you were one of the greatest hitters ever. Why do you think you would only hit 275? He goes, you have to remember, son, I'm 73 years old. Ty Cobb, bad guy. That's a very funny quote.
Ty Cobb, bad guy.
Was he a bad guy?
He went spikes to the neck. That's how he slid into second base. That's a very bad thing to do.
I also like to say that Minnie Minoso playing in games at 50 and 54, Very similar, but not nearly as impressive as Gordie Howe playing an entire season at the age of 51.
That guy's insane.
Yeah, he played 80 games in 1980 as a 51-year-old.
Yeah.
But
Mr. Hodges.
Shout out. Anyways.
Minoso, I'm so glad he's in. He should have been voted in by the writers. Once again, strictly for the impact on the game, as well as, he was a career 299 hitter. I mean, I think he had like a 130 OPS plus. Like, he was a really good player.
See, had he hit 300 for his career, he would have been in the Hall of Fame.
If he had hit 300 and people weren't racist, he would have been in the Hall of Fame. But so glad he's in. And Bud Fowler, too, who is, as well as Buck O'Neil, part of the early days induction, considered by many to be the first black professional baseball player. Like, this is pre-Negro leagues. This is like way back in the day. He's considered by many to be the first professional black baseball player, and he deserves Bud Fowler.
Bud Fowler.
And he deserves to have a plaque in Cooperstown in this room that is behind me in my background. Josh, I don't know if this is the plaque gallery at the hall. Yeah.
Just so you know, Josh, Bud Fowler played professional baseball from 1878 to 1895. Just letting you.
I knew for a fact
when he said first professional black baseball player, it was clarified that this was in the late 19th century.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this guy, dude. Jesus Christ. You heard stuff about like Jackie, what he had to deal with 50 years later. Can you imagine the things that this guy heard?
Oh, yeah.
If he had to play it in public. I mean, my God.
And
yeah, here's for context. This guy, Bud Fowler, played baseball 13 years after slavery was abolished.
Mm-hmm.
When he started playing professional baseball.
Yeah,
I was doing the math. I mean, this guy, his parents were like slaves, probably.
This guy was born into, like, most likely born into slavery. I don't know where he was from.
Yeah.
My God.
But most likely born into slavery. And he ended up becoming a professional baseball player. And if that isn't enough to get him in the Baseball Hall of Fame, I don't know what is.
He was born in 1858 in Fort Plain, New York.
Oh, so he was in New York. It wasn't nearly as bad up here.
Probably not, but he was born before the Civil War.
Yeah.
Fort Plain, New York, by the way, is just west of Albany.
Mm-hmm.
In between Albany and Utica.
But as far as the other three guys, Jim Cott, long decorated career, 16 Gold Gloves, which is amazing. I don't care if you're
fame worthy to me.
I don't care if you're a pitcher or not. 16. Jim Cott was a great pitcher. He's not in my, like, I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame. He was a great pitcher, and congrats to him. He had a long career as a broadcaster. This feels like a lifetime achievement award to me.
Which I'm also in favor of in terms of Hall of Fame inductees. It's a lifetime achievement thing.
Yeah. And that's what this feels like to me. He's been broadcasting since like 1983, I think. Bob Costas has been his partner on MLB Network for a number of years now. He's a really interesting guy, and I like him doing games. He gets a little old man on the porch every once in a while, but I do like Jim Cott, and I'm happy for him, as well as Tony Oliva. They were the only two surviving members of this class. Tony Oliva was a great hitter on those Twins teams. He was teammates with Jim Cott. Those Twins teams in the 60s, it was him, it was Harmon Killebrew, it was Rod Carew, like, great teams. And Tony Oliva was a big part of that. He wasn't a huge power hitting first baseman, but he was a great hitter. And I'm fine with him making the Hall of Fame. And the other one who I keep forgetting, it was Gil Hodges. Gil Hodges should have been in the Hall of Fame. I'm fine with him getting in. He was one that for a long time, especially New Yorkers and Met fans, were begging for him to get in. He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers. He managed the Miracle Mets in 1969. And he was a great player. I think he hit 370 home runs, which is no small feat. He was a great hitter, and a lot of people said for a long time that he was one of the guys that, like, this is an egregious omission from the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't say egregious, but I'm fine with him getting in. Cott, Oliva, and Hodges should not be in over Dick Allen. Plain and simple. Dick Allen, for a decade, had a 170 OPS plus.
All I know about Dick Allen is that he had rockin' sideburns and smoked bogues in the dugout. So.
Also, I tweeted that out. The coolness factor. This is the coolest man of all time. Like,
I mean, that guy looked like he doubled as a Panther at night. He was the sickest dude playing baseball.
That's the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
I just like to say also that I saw that you retweeted the thing on Twitter, Mark. Some dude was like, "Oh, anyone can pick out a decade where they cherry pick stats."
Yeah, fuck you.
And then someone replied and said, "Okay, fine, take his whole career. Dick Allen is 14th all time in OPS plus."
Mm-hmm. Dick Allen. He was an answer to that trivia question you asked a couple weeks ago. It was like the all-time righty hitters versus lefty pitching in a season.
That's the one that he that he was an answer to, because you said that and I was like, I don't remember the trivia question. I don't remember shit.
It was that one. Because I guessed Dick Allen, and the rest of you were like, "Who the hell is Dick Allen?" And I said, "He should be in the Hall of Fame."
And it all comes back around, right? Because you said earlier that morning you were talking about how he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
right.
Because oftentimes I think that these guys' estates just pay Mark to talk about them, because I have no idea who the hell they are. But
Dick Allen, and also he just there's another thing that happened tomorrow. He died a year ago tomorrow. And I thought for sure that they'd be like, okay, it's time to put Dick Allen in. Like, he died. We should honor this man in Cooperstown.
And they said, "No. F you, dead man." Is what they said. All right.
He had a 156 OPS plus for his career. Like you said, good for 14th all time. He won an MVP. He had 350 home runs in 15 years. People point to like, oh, he didn't play enough. He played 15 years.
This is okay. We're not going to do this again. I said we're not going to do it again. But in what galaxy is 15 years not long enough for a career?
And people, like, I see people point, oh, he only had 1,800 hits. First of all, you try to get 1,800 hits in the major leagues. Second of all, yeah, with those 1,800 hits, he hit 292 with a 378 on base, a 534 slugging. He averaged 33 home runs and 104 RBIs per 162 games.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole, like, counting the number of hits thing is absurd to me.
Which I am happy about, because Tony Oliva and Gil Hodges, I believe, both had less than 2,000 hits. So you can let them in, but not Dick Allen, who's better than both of them.
I hate, especially when it comes to hits, like, I hate the fact that the Baseball Hall of Fame has set these benchmarks of, like, you have to hit this many balls into play in order to be considered for our club. Hate it. As opposed to, looking at another stat that we have called batting average.
Yeah. How about he had 1,800 hits.
How about how often you hit a ball and you safely get on base, not how many times you do it. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, every other stat, it's like, oh, he didn't have a ton of hits. Yeah, well, he had a 912 OPS. He had a 378 on base. He had 350 home runs. He had 1,100 RBIs. He even stole 130 bases just for good measure. He won an MVP. He won a Rookie of the Year. And he's a 7-time All-Star. He received MVP votes in 7 seasons, the same years he made All-Star teams. I'm sorry, 8 seasons. No, 7. What am I missing here? Oh, he got yeah. I gotta know. But just he was always in the MVP. The year he won Rookie of the Year, he finished 7th in MVP voting. He hit .318 with 29 home runs and 91 RBIs. He was 22 years old. Like, this guy came into the league. He was great. He stayed great for 15 years. And for whatever reason, he's still not in the Hall of Fame. And, well, I know the reason. People didn't like him. Let's just say his name being Dick Allen is rather fitting from the stories I've heard.
Not a good guy?
It's not that he was a bad guy. He was a jerk to the media. If you asked him a stupid question, he was going to say, that's a stupid fucking question, and I'm not going to answer it. Like, that.
So got whiny.
Yeah, so the writers didn't vote him in because none of them liked him. And now you've still got, like, the Veterans Committee still has, like, writers and stuff on it. It's only 16 people, by the way. These committees are only 16 people. You need 12 votes for enshrinement. For the second consecutive vote, Dick Allen got 11.
So not to mention he was a dick, but also he started playing, like, I think based off the first year that a black guy was coaching the league. So he was in a bad time area, too, to be a black guy trying to get votes in that thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, God. The Hall sucks. We do this. Why do we do this? We talk about it all the time. All stinks.
Here's the thing. Baseball writers and Hall voters need to get a backbone. Just because you don't like a guy doesn't mean you don't vote for him for the Hall of Fame. I was mad about the NFL committee for doing this to Terrell Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Owens had to wait 3 years to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because of one guy who said he was a bad teammate. That ended up not even being a corroborated story.
It seems like it's always either you just didn't like him, he was black in the time frame, and he did steroids. Like, one of these glaring 3 things, and it's like, yeah, they never touched him. Oh, it's going to be something else. Like, in the upcoming year, you use sticky stuff. You're done.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee
there's going to be
15 years from now when Garrett Cole is eligible for the Hall of Fame, people are going to bring that up. I guarantee it.
And we're still going to have this podcast, and somehow we'll still only have 20 subscribers, and somehow
who the hell cares?
And somehow I'm still going to be throwing the same hissy fit 15 years down the road for this stupid shit.
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to hear more about the Veterans Committee's enshrinement into the Hall of Fame, go listen to my other podcast.
That's true.
What's in the Box Score with Rick Weiner? You can, if you download the Spreaker app and look up Sports War Radio, it's one of the first ones that comes up. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Twitter. It's box_score_pod.
Mark, this seems like a perfect time. I don't mean to hop on unless you have anything else to say, but you can also catch us on Fridays over on the Colorcast app from 2 to 3, talking sports gambling with me, Zach, Mark, and Ian from Detroit. Over Stoke Sports. I mean, dude, that guy was on. He was on. He had Detroit covering, Michigan blowing him out. He had Bama. That dude was all over it this weekend. Ian from Detroit, have yourself a day.
Anyway, we'll be talking extensively about the Baseball Hall of Fame. This episode coming out on Friday, and again in a month.
Yeah, this is a problem. You'll be doing that in a month, and you'll sure as hell be doing it on this show in a month. So.
Oh yeah.
We do it every year. So
I never get enough of Baseball Hall of Fame talk. Especially the complaining part. I'm shocked. I do put about 80 hours of work into making my ballot every year.
That seems like a lot.
It's not actually 80, but it's way too many for someone who doesn't actually have a vote. I'm gonna release an article and shit about it this year. Go really in depth about it. Yeah. But it's just oh man, Dick Allen not being in blows my mind. And another one that I didn't know who he was until yesterday, and then they went through his qualifications, and I was like, this guy should have been in 50 years ago. His name is John Donaldson.
Okay.
All right, he was a pitcher in the Negro Leagues.
Okay.
And his estimated stats, because they don't have full statistics for these guys. He's estimated to have around 450 wins, like 5,000 strikeouts and 31 no-hitters.
Jesus. That guy's the GOAT.
I'm like, this man is the greatest pitcher to ever live. Screw Satchel Paige. You know,
I mean, it's just like, it's also like the rumors that Babe Ruth hit balls 900 feet. So
the great Bambino,
which all are just a bunch of horse shit. Like, honestly, like, I'm not believing that any dude that had the lifestyle that Babe Ruth had, you know, eating cheeseburgers in the dugout and smoking cigarettes at the plate,
he was
hitting a ball 600 feet. Someone that people on legit real steroids a century later can also not do. So
he's just a better Andy Reid, dude. What can I say? Andy Reid.
Here it is. Researchers so far have discovered 667 games in which Donaldson is known to have pitched. Out of those games, Donaldson had over 400 wins and 5,081 strikeouts.
Wow.
5,000 strikeouts in 600 games? What?
In a career that spanned over 30 years.
Imagine the amount of... That sounds like so much fun in terms of research. Like, imagine the amount of time researchers spent plumbing through stuff to find that.
God, it's gotta be crazy.
Weeks.
I'm sorry, it's
and
not 30.
Just like, oh, I spent a few weeks doing it. Like, actual weeks and hours.
I'm sorry, it wasn't 31 no-hitters. It was 14 no-hitters.
Oh.
Because
Sorry.
They have them all listed on Wikipedia. It's like career highlights and awards. Pitch no-hitter, pitch no-hitter, pitch no-hitter.
I mean, that's the most, right? Nolan Ryan's like 8?
7.
7, okay.
Yeah. This guy casually just whipped 14, you know.
It's just like... And that's the thing with the Negro League stats. It's like none of these can be confirmed. That's why we only have like we have the myths. But then again, people like I've heard enough people say that Josh Gibson hit 850 home runs to be like, yeah, Josh Gibson probably hit 850 home runs.
Yeah.
That's like old wise tale, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, Satchel Paige threw the ball. Satchel Paige threw the ball 115 miles an hour. No one could hit it. It's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, he did it 9 times a game.
Right now on ESPN, they're just airing a bunch of Jimmy V Award acceptance speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know why. No, they just played the Stuart Scott one, so thankfully my volume wasn't on. But right now they're playing the Jim Kelly one.
Oof.
Which they just showed Allison Janney, actress, Oscar-winning actress.
I don't know what
West Wing fame.
Yeah, C.J. Craig from The West Wing.
Yeah, before I started Frasier the other day, I was thinking about shows to watch, and I was like, do I just rewatch The West Wing? Well,
the answer to that is always yes.
I've never seen it, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, you're a Sorkin head and you've never seen The West Wing. It makes no sense to me.
It's pretty sick, dude.
As a resident newsroom lover, I have not seen The West Wing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how long.
As a resident lover of his worst show.
Oh, boo.
Newsroom?
Boo.
Yeah, Newsroom stinks.
Boo.
I'll tell you, it took me probably a full season.
Jeff Daniels is awesome in that show. You shut the hell up. Right?
It took me a full season of The West Wing to like Josh Lyman because Bradley Whitford plays Eric and Billy Madison. And I was like, this is a bad man. This is a very bad man. and I was like, all right, I kind of like this dude.
He's the best character in the show.
He really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch it at some point, maybe.
It's on HBO Max. Do it now.
Dude, it's so hard for me to watch TV shows. It's so ungodly hard for me to do.
Also, catch up on Succession.
Yeah, I've fallen way behind. I still haven't finished season 2 yet.
Jesus.
I still got 3 episodes left in season 2.
Mark, I've got to catch up on season 3. No, I only watched the first 3 episodes.
Oh,
we're like 6 episodes in at this point, right?
8.
8? The season's
We're
almost
8 episodes in?
3-8 just there. I just watched it today.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I really got to catch up.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, I'm a whole season behind now.
Oh,
Anyways,
it's been an hour.
well, we'll save, for the sake of mercifully getting out of here at a reasonable time, we will save the football talk for this morning on the radio show. So I hope you listened to that, because as you remember, the podcast comes out after the radio show. It's a whole bit. I'm going to do that every single week. I'm going to point to something that happened earlier in the morning, and then I'm going to remind everybody the podcast comes out after the radio show. So it's
John Donaldson also played center field. He hit 296 in his career.
Nice. This podcast and the radio show is just like an Ouroboros of like meta shit posting. Honestly,
a what?
An Ouroboros.
What is that?
You know the picture of the snake that eats itself?
Oh,
one perpetual circle of cannibalism.
I thought you were saying Aurora Borealis in the dumbest way humanly possible.
No, it's an Ouroboros.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Not an Aurora Borealis.
I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like,
okay. Before we head out, we're gonna do Fanduel.
Let's do it.
Also, Andrew Wiggins is up to 8 threes tonight. So
please tell me I remember to set my fantasy basketball lineup.
Maybe not. Josh,
I did.
You want to go first with Fanduel?
Yeah, Daddy will go first. It's fine.
Okay. Well, that made me uncomfortable.
Did we win the basketball lineup tonight or what?
No.
Damn, I thought I had hope.
Like I said, I let you guys down. We didn't even get 300 points.
Nah, that's all right. It's all right. All right, let's get into it. Last week, went with a clear strategy, ended up working. I picked that LA Chargers Bengals game. Thought it was going to be pretty high scoring. It was on one side. Got lucky there.
It ended up being close and also very.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It was one-sided in the first half, and it was also one-sided in the second half. It just so happened to be that it was one-sided for the other team in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So, they took turns.
Yeah.
Shit.
I happened to pick who caught the touchdowns, basically there. Keenan Allen and T. Higgins. Got lucky there. But so this week I go with a team that I think is just – I don't think they're good. I've convinced myself that they are no good anymore. But I do think this guy has been getting crapped on a lot lately. And so I think Russ is ready to cook. I think that people have been mocking this.
Russ played his best game.
Yeah, since the hand for sure.
The season yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Did he look really good against the Niners? I didn't watch a lick of that game.
It wasn't incredible for fantasy, anything like that. I thought he played well. At least I watched the majority of the game.
So I think this dude's about to cook, though. I think he's ready to go off. I paired him up with his favorite target, DK Metcalf. Pretty cheap too. Like there are some quarterbacks, Drew Lock is more than like 5 starting quarterbacks this week. I'm like, how the hell did these things even happen? Whatever.
Well, it was like how Matt Ryan was cheaper than Ryan Fitzpatrick last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Next up, I'll give you my running backs. Sticking in the division here. Sticking in the NFC East. Sorry. Saquon Barkley for the Giants going up against that Chargers team we talked about. You can definitely run on the Chargers team, and I think I don't know what we're waiting on with Saquon, but like just Christian McCaffrey, this dude. Give this dude the ball.
I have Saquon in my main slate lineup, and I'm scared because in theory they're playing the worst run defense in football,
mm-hmm.
and Saquon plays all the snaps. Like they don't take him off the field.
Correct.
He's just not getting more than like 12 carries a game.
Yeah, I don't know what, like, I think it's still a workload thing, but, like, when are you going to let him go? I mean, he's a man. He's a big boy. Just let him play football.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. Some guys, like, it's crazy to say that, like, some guys, like, need 10, 12 targets or catches, like, touches before they really start heating up. Like, maybe he just needs a motor going. I don't know. Who cares? Staying in the NFC East, $100 more. The Dallas Cowboys run defense should get a lot better this week. Their defense in general should get better. Randy Gregory's back. Their 2 starting defensive tackles will be back. that front line will look like it did week 3. But they still give up big, gaping plays constantly in the run game. So I went with Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, of course, out too. So maybe they can actually pass the ball to him. Let's see if that works. Huh? And then other wide receivers here due to injury. Went with Mike Williams. Looks like Keenan Allen might not play. He's on the COVID list. They're thinking he could get cleared by Sunday, but if not, I love Mike Williams here to eat up that Giants secondary with Justin Herbert. Third wide receiver, he's been kind of off since coming back from the injury. Murray Cooper tends to be a division killer. The Eagles, the Redskins, the Giants, he does pretty well. They are on the road where he doesn't do as well, but I still like Cooper to have a good game here for once in a while. Kyle Pitts is just too cheap to take. Like, if I value this guy as a top 3 fantasy option at tight end, and he's 5,900, I have to take him every time, no matter who they're playing in my mind. And then we'll go with Leonard Fournette against this Buffalo team, who we saw tonight. Even when they knew that the Patriots were going to run the ball every goddamn play, they had no answer. They are weak boys who got bullied by big men, and that's what's going to happen next week. And so Leonard Fournette there, and defense does not matter. Isn't that right, Mark? So I got Detroit's defense and what can only be a barn burner against the Denver Broncos this week.
All right, so my quarterback, I don't think this team is very good anymore, and he's been getting shit on a lot in the past few weeks, but I think he's getting ready to cook this week. I've got Russell Wilson, and I'm pairing him with his favorite target, DK Metcalf.
Let's go.
My 2 running backs. I also went with someone in that Dallas-Washington game, but it wasn't Antonio Gibson. I'm going with Tony Pollard. Zeke has been weird the past few weeks.
You don't have to hedge. He's been bad.
Yeah.
Not even just for fantasy purposes. He does not look healthy, and I don't understand why the Cowboys don't just sit him. I don't know why he played on Thursday.
Yeah.
He's very clearly not healthy. Rest him.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it either. So I'm going to go with Tony Pollard, 6,100. I think that's good value for a guy that I think will find the end zone. Washington's defense is inconsistent. So I like Dallas in that game. So I'm going to stick with Pollard. Then another guy that just when I see his name and then I see 7,500 next to it, I'm like, this is way too cheap. And that's Nick Chubb. I know the Browns are bad. I know he's been up and down this year. He's coming off a bad week. Or is he? No, he's coming off a good week.
He's coming off not playing.
Oh, no. Yep. I was looking at the thing wrong. 2 weeks ago against Baltimore, he had a really bad week. But he's had some up and down weeks. I like him to bounce back because that guy's just really good. I already mentioned Metcalf. I've got someone else from the Dallas-Washington game. That's Michael Gallup. Gallup's been getting a pretty fair share of targets as of late. He's found the end zone a couple of times. I like him in this matchup as well. Then my third receiver, I went big. I went with Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs are playing the Raiders. Mahomes is so weird to me right now. Like, he's coming off back-to-back games without a passing touchdown. I don't see that continuing. And I think he's going to try to find his guy, Tyreek Hill, on a deep ball to the end zone.
Want to hear a fun fact? Speaking of Tyreek Hill deep balls, not that I'm trying to dissuade you. This is just an interesting stat to me. Tyreek Hill has had a reception of longer than 20 yards in only 2 of his last 8 games.
He's due.
Yeah, exactly. He's due.
The Chiefs own the Raiders, so
yeah. So he's at 8,700. Tight end, I went with Zach Ertz. Now with Kyler Murray back, I think this Cardinals passing offense is a lot more dangerous. I think he's going to look to Ertz. They're playing the Rams. I think it has shootout potential, but then again, who knows what the Rams are nowadays? They're just such a weird team right now. In the flex, I went with Justin Jefferson. The Vikings are playing the Steelers. I think the Steelers are bad. Justin Jefferson is coming off a really good week. He was the highest rated PFF wide receiver this past week.
That guy's good at football.
He's really good at football. And I usually... That's true. Jalen Reagor. Next pick. Justin Jefferson. But he's really good at football, so I like him in the flex. And because defense doesn't matter, I went with the Jets against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints stink. Is Taysom Hill playing quarterback again next week?
Yeah, I think so.
If his foot permits.
So that means maybe another 4 interceptions. You never know.
He could run the ball for about 50.
He could, but he could also pass the ball like shit like he did last week. So that's sort of what I'm banking on here, is another bad Taysom Hill passing game. But yeah, that's the lineup.
All right. Well, my lineup is clearly the best. I'm about to tell you why. So, game stack, Monday Night Football. Matt Stafford, coming off of back-to-back, pretty good fantasy games. The offense is starting to click a little bit more the last couple weeks. Arizona's defense is good. They're not the best. It's not. I'm not 100% sure it's a defense that matters. So when I think about fantasy, there's really only a handful of defenses that matter either way, whether it be to downgrade players or to upgrade players because of how good of a matchup it is. And I don't think the Cardinals quite fit in to that downgrade. Actually, you want to know what's a fun fact about the Cardinals defense? In terms of number one wide receivers, like the number one receiver on the team, they have not allowed a single number one wide receiver on a team they played this year to have more than 66 yards against them, including Cooper Kupp the first time they played him, which is why Cooper Kupp isn't in my lineup with Stafford. Instead, I'm going to roll with Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham, partially because I just feel pass volume will be there. But and remind you, I'm also putting this lineup into a tournament, so I got to have a little bit of leverage on the field. And Cooper Kupp is going to be popular. But fade number one wide receivers against the Cardinals. Anyways, we're going to run that back with Zach Ertz. Again, I'm not very interested in DeAndre Hopkins this week. Figured I'd go with Zach Ertz. I don't know. We can kind of throw out the Chicago game in terms of value. He only had 2 targets, but that game was played in a monsoon. Not really, but it was windy and rainy. Had at least 6 targets in each of the last 2 games before that. He's only played 2 games with Kyler, if I remember correctly. And I don't remember exactly when he was traded. But he's had at least 4 targets. He's had at least 5 targets in 4 of his 5 games with the Cardinals or something. I don't remember. Anyways, Zach Ertz is a guy who plays football. Anyways, secondary game stack. Thursday Night Football. We're going to go with Alexander Madison. We're going to go with the Vikings running back. Because Madison, Cook is likely not going to play. They haven't ruled him out, but I would be genuinely surprised if he plays on Thursday. And Cook and Madison are the same price, so it's an easy swap, even if for some reason Dalvin Cook does play. Steelers' run defense has really taken a nosedive in the last couple weeks. They just made Devontae Freeman look good again. So, the Vikings are good at running the football. So Alexander Madison, I'll take it. And then we're going to run it back with Deontay Johnson. Ben Roethlisberger sucks. But one thing he's good at is finding number 18 like 3 yards down the field and getting the ball into his hands. So Deontay Johnson is like the best kind of wide receiver for daily fantasy because he's a target hog. He's had 10 targets in all but 2 games this year. At least 10 targets in all but 2 games this year. And the Vikings pass defense isn't very good. So, high upside kind of play, but also a very high floor for Deontay Johnson. Other running back, I have 2 other running backs. One in my running back spot and one in my flex. One of my other running backs, is that Joe Biden presenting the Jimmy V Award to Craig Sager? Anyways, My other running backs, one of them is Aaron Jones. This Bears defense is falling apart. Mostly because it is Joe Biden. Mostly because they weren't very good in the first place, but also because Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack are out. And Aaron, I was going to try and do an Aaron Rodgers stack because I'm afraid that on Sunday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers is going to do ugly things to this Bears defense. But at the very least, I'll get a piece of it and have Aaron Jones in my lineup. Another week removed from that injury off the bye. Yes, Josh.
Mark, are you watching SCP right now?
No, as well as Zach, I've got the Jimmy V thing on.
I'm sorry. This old bitch is still alive. Sister Jean is still fucking alive.
Never mind. I shouldn't have stopped to let Josh start talking. My flex is Josh Jacobs, not because I think it's a good matchup. The Chiefs defense has actually played really well the last few weeks, but Josh Jacobs is so unbelievably involved in their offense, and especially if Darren Waller doesn't play. Josh Jacobs had 9 catches yesterday. Kenyon Drake is out for the season now too. So that's the kind of floor I can get behind. And I assume the Chiefs are still going to do the thing where they like dare teams to run on them. Josh Jacobs, at the very least, will have volume. I'm not 100% sure he's in a good situation, but And then they gave me enough money for a defense I'm actually kind of excited for playing this week, and that's Seattle against Houston. Especially if the Texans go back to Davis Mills because he sucks. And Seattle's defense has actually played pretty well the last few weeks. So they don't sack the quarterback very often, but they're good at creating turnovers. And Davis Mills is good at turning the ball over. So, could be a good play. But that's the reason I'm coming in first place this week. And it's going to be really funny when I score like 60 points with my whole lineup. I hope you found this bit funny. The read for my Fanduel lineups. I hope you found it to be comedic, but get Reggie Miller's face off my screen. Anyways, that does it for Fanduel, and that does it for the show as well. So before we head out, make sure to follow us on Twitter at HotSoapPod. It's at HotSoapPod on Twitter. YouTube channel, subscribe, like it, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Hope you listened to the radio show this morning. If not, you got another shot next week on the 14th. We'll have a radio show that as well.
Yeah, Mark, can't wait for you to, I can't wait for these people to hear you talk about.
The bit just fell apart, by the way, because you just said, I can't wait for these people to hear you talk about. That's assuming that they've already heard this podcast. Yeah. Josh blew the bit up. We're not doing it this week.
Thank the good Lord.
Yeah. For Josh and Mark, I'm Zach. This has been episode 50 of the Hot Soap Podcast. If you watched this many episodes, thank you. I appreciate it. Don't flip off the nice people that watch this show. 50 episodes is pretty cool. We've been doing this show for just over 2 years now. Podcasting the show for just over a year now.
It's been 3 years for the show in total, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, 2018. Yeah. I just couldn't count right. Yeah, it's been over 3 years we've done the show, and just over a year that we've been in podcast form. So
just about a year of me being a full-time host. I was always a guest.
No, you became a full-time host. I don't even remember when. I don't know.
Yeah, did it just start? Was it just the two of us when it started?
Connor too, as well.
Connor, yeah.
Well, and Austin was on it. It was the four of us because Josh had already graduated at that point.
Yep.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, not by the time we started it.
Yeah.
But most of the time it was the four of us. And then Josh was there every weekend visiting Emily anyway, so he was on the show.
That's right.
Right. I'll have to tweet out the video that Connor sent a while back of the episode that I did on the floor.
Oh yeah, that was very funny.
I was laying down on the floor.
Yeah, it was a good one.
And then there's also the episode where Mark and I stood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Simple bits. Anyways,
that no one could see because we were on radio.
Right. And now I'm just talking for the sake of talking. So thanks for watching. And we'll be back next week.
Peace.